Well, my friends, the wait is finally over as the Pixel 9 Pro Fold is now available, and it's almost a complete overhaul from the first gen. This time around, Google addressed a ton of common complaints as it now has a thinner, lighter new form factor, updated chipset, and almost complete feature parity with the regular 9 series, which was something I've been begging for as a Pixel Fold user since day one. We can easily see, starting with the hardware, as this is where most of the differences come in compared to last year's first gen Pixel Fold. To be honest, it wasn't a bad device, but it didn't really age well, to say the least. The hinge never unfolded flat, the inner display was a bit outdated, and the entire package was too heavy, with the notorious overheating Tensor G2 chip on top of it all. In stark contrast to its predecessor, the Pixel 9 Pro Fold addresses many of the first generation shortcomings. It boasts a slimmer 10.5mm profile, making it one of the thinnest foldables you can get in the US, and it's also much lighter than last year's device at 257 grams. The build quality feels significantly improved as well, with matte side rails that enhance grip compared to the glossy finish on the first gen, with the return of the beautiful, elegant matte glass backplate. And of course, we can't forget the new camera bump, as it does represent a departure from the iconic Pixel camera bar, as it's a small square tucked away in the top corner, but more on that later. I would say the biggest question surrounding the Pixel 9 Pro Fold's hardware is how long it will last. Google is supporting this device with the same 7 years of updates as the rest of the lineup, but foldables have a tendency to age a little less gracefully. However, I do think that Google's efforts here shine, as it feels like a foldable that can last longer than most, as long as you don't do any crazy bend maneuvers, courtesy of Jerry Rig Everything's bend test. The Pixel 9 Pro Fold's display setup has seen some changes too, as the outer display now features a familiar 6.3-inch Full HD panel, essentially borrowed straight from the Pixel 9, offering similar sharpness, brightness, and a comfortable size to match. While the bezels make it feel slightly larger than its non-folding counterparts like the Pixel 9 or 9 Pro, the overall experience is surprisingly similar to using a standard smartphone, especially paired with that thinner frame. The inner display is a significant upgrade as well, boasting a much less noticeable crease and improved brightness for comfortable outdoor use. However, it's not entirely without its faults. As expected, the crease is still visible and the screen itself is still quite reflective, something I was really hoping Google got sorted out this year, but it looks like something we'll have to look forward to in the future. We covered the software in depth for our Pixel 9 coverage, so without retreading old ground here, the Pixel 9 Pro Fold delivers a software experience that is largely consistent with the rest of the Pixel 9 lineup. When folded, the software is identical, as it runs Android 14 smoothly and efficiently thanks to that Tensor G4 and the increased 16 gigs of RAM. Of course, with the 9 Pro Fold, a lot of software differences are more noticeable within that inner screen, as you can easily access a more immersive experience. When it comes to foldables, I always use the inner screen for more long-term tasks or anything where I'm sitting stationary, and that large screen canvas is absolutely perfect with some exceptions. Something strange we noticed is all or most of the tablet optimizations initially implemented in the first gen aren't here for the second gen, at least when it comes to apps. During our testing, we found a lot of Google apps in particular, like Gmail for example, default to the phone layout instead of the dual column tablet interface, which kind of takes away from that large screen feel, something we hope gets squared away in a future update. And another little critique here is I really wish Google implemented more features tailored to advanced users. While Pixel devices have a highly curated experience that many Android users appreciate for its minimal aesthetic, intuitive navigation, and a ton of high quality, polished AI features, some customization options, maybe borrowed from the Samsung side of things, would really help users get the most out of a foldable experience, like the ability to have a distinct layout for the inner versus outer screen, some kind of stylus support, and a fleshed out desktop mode are at the top of my mind. Not to mention, on Pixel devices, split screen mode is only limited to 2 apps, something that might be a bit restraining on a foldable, as other competitors can do much more. One of the biggest improvements with this iteration is battery longevity. The first gen Pixel Fold was a bit mixed, but like the other 9 series devices, the 9 Pro Fold is much more reliable. Screen on time isn't perfect, but you'll get 6 hours quite comfortably. Of course, this will vary based on how you're using the displays. In our testing, the battery life on the Pixel 9 Pro Fold is roughly on par to what we're seeing on the regular 9 Pro, despite the slab phone having a bigger battery. What's really disappointing is that charging is limited to 21 watts via USB-C. In real-world usage, it translates to over an hour and a half half for a full charge, which isn't ideal if you're in a rush, something that makes the OnePlus Open seem so much more appealing, as that device can get to a full charge in about 40 minutes. Finally, before we get out of here, we can talk about cameras real quick, and to sum it up, it's one of the best foldable cameras in the US, but unfortunately, it's also one of the worst in the 9 series lineup. Same as last year, we have a triple camera setup featuring a 48 megapixel main lens, a 10.8 megapixel telephoto with 5x optical zoom, and a 10.5 megapixel ultra wide. For the most part, the 9 Pro Fold is competent and reliable, but due to the lack of space, we are once again stuck with non-flagship sensors, making low light photos and those using digital zoom a little less than desirable. Plus, being on older hardware, it locks us out of some of the more pro level features like 8K video recording and 20x super res zoom video. Overall, the Pixel 9 Pro Fold's cameras are certainly not the best compared to a traditional candy bar style device, but are decent compared to other competitors like the Fold series, for example. All of this brings me to the core question around the Pixel 9 Pro Fold, which is the whole pro angle here. After everything we know, is this really a pro phone in the Google Pixel lineup? Taking a look compared to other pro models, it has worse cameras, lacks a Super Actua outer display, has slower charging both wired and wireless, and lacks some of the features on the main pro phones too, like 8K video boost, dual exposure on the main camera, action pan, and cinematic blur. I'd argue that on the whole, the Pro title is earned through the rest of the package. You're mainly losing out on camera features as a result of hardware limitations of a foldable, but you're still getting most of the same utility out of the camera, as well as that 16 gigs of RAM that helps set the 9 Pro apart from the base Pixel 9. In closing, the Pixel 9 Pro Fold is what it seems the market has been waiting for since the beginning, and that's where some technicalities come into play here. The Pixel 9 Pro Fold is the best foldable that most people can get, but it's not the very best out there. The Honor Magic V3 and many other foldables available today in China give Google's efforts to run for their money in more ways than one between software, camera, form factor, and build quality. That said, leave a comment and let me know what you think of the Pixel 9 Pro Fold. With all these improvements, do you think Google hit the mark here? And if not, what features or aspects are missing that make this device a deal breaker? Share your thoughts down below, as we would love to see what the Android community is thinking, but in the meantime, I'm getting out of here. Before I do, huge shout out to our channel members on screen right now for supporting us as we do our best to make the highest quality Android content possible. And don't forget to grab the September wallpaper pack Mars in the community post. If you're not a channel member but want to access these wallpapers for yourself, hit the join button to learn more, as we would certainly love to have you. For now, this is Jordan Floyd with 9to5 Google. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.